Hello and welcome to another episode of the NK Active podcast. I am Nick, podiatrist and director here at NK Active, and we are joined by a familiar face, Dave, our rehabilitation specialist here at NK Active. So for this episode, we really wanted to chat about what can you do to help yourself get fitter and stronger and more active over the summer, making use of the warmer weather, the increased daylight, and trying to do something that's either free or doesn't actually cost you much money. So, Dave, do we first naturally need to chat around about baselines and you don't know what you don't know?
Yeah, I think it's important, certainly in the summer. And we see a lot of people who do a bit more walking, they're working in their gardens, it's lighter, it's warmer, it's easier, nicer to be outside than it is in the winter. So where's the distinction between being busy, which is a good thing to do, good physical activity, working on the garden, and we see people 5-6 hours a day, the next day they're tired. They've been busy, they've done good physical activity, that's great. But where's the progression? What's that leading to? What's that building up to? So there's a distinction that's quite lost in the mists, I think, of being busy and active and following a program that's going to improve your mobility or your strength, and going to a class regularly. It's the regular training that will do it. And in the summer, what can we do? Again, regularly and consistently, that's going to be more helpful.
And that's it. And you talk about, say, in the winter, and in summer, people may go to classes on a regular basis.
Yep.
But if you're gardening on a regular basis, that can still be that class in inverted commas type thing.
And this is the activity, isn't it? You're being more mobile, you're being more active, which is a great thing to do.
And people just they don't think of it as doing an activity. If you spend 6 hours gardening, people don't think, I've done some physical exercise.
And it's interesting to see the people who are counting steps or wear a tracker watch or however they do it when they've been in their garden. I've had a long day in the garden, they might ache, or I've done a lot of steps. And the thing for me is, how do you keep that going to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, so that you can continue to improve? Yeah.
So then when we're talking about what we don't know is what you know, what you don't know.
Yeah.
Is that if we think of it from a physical activity and trying to make use of the warmer weather and be outside, it's one of those things that actually, if we ask someone, actually, could you go lift? How many times could you lift that 15 kilo, 20 kilo bag of compost type thing? Or how many people do you reckon would actually know the answer to that? And the issue is, if you don't know the answer to what you can or can't do already, it's hard then to build a program or a plan in place. So you kind of find that you need to get that baseline sorted first, don't you?
Yeah, and it's interesting, if you speak to a runner will know how long it takes to do 5K or 10K, but might not know how much they can lift or how many times they can lift it. And we see people know, I have to be careful, I don't do too much lifting, or I don't lift. Often it's not the fact that they don't lift, it's the weight management. Most people lift a cup of tea, lift a kettle, lift the washing, or not anything too heavy. Well, where's your limit? We have to go and test it out and find out. I'm happy to do A, but not B. Okay, well, let's do A a few more times.
Well, I'm talking about gardening. You do have a thing about pea shingle at the moment, don't you?
Pea shingle, yeah. I know that pea shingle comes in two sizes, 10mm or 20mm, and it costs £3.70 for 20 kilos from B&Q.
Yeah.
Other stores are available.
We're not the BBC, mate, we're okay.
But 20 kilos, and there's one guy using some sharp sand that he had in the back of his garage, and every week he puts an extra cupful in. It's under his kitchen table, and he picks it up 5 times, puts it down every day. He could be doing that outside in the sunshine, whatever outside space he's got. It's just a bit nicer. It's just he could pick it up and walk around the garden with it.
Yeah.
And one thing about exercise, it's making life more difficult for ourselves. Because everyone I meet knows if you don't use it, you lose it. And we're almost programmed to rest. take it easy, make life easier. So why would I go and lift a bucket full of pea shingle or sand or something? That's going to tire me out. Well, I've decided I want to change. I want to be stronger.
Yeah.
And if you don't challenge yourself, you won't change yourself. So this is the progressive, and it's nicer in the warm weather, whether it's in the afternoon, whether it's in the evening, whether you're making use of the daylight, it's just a bit more pleasant, isn't it?
Well, it is, because then if you can do that, and you may start off with, if you're doing a gardening project and you're lifting your bits of slate that you put on the ground, or the pea shingle or something like that.
Yep.
Well, you may start off using a wheelbarrow, but then you may get a couple of buckets, and then one day fill it 20%, and the next day add another, and then you're carrying more. And if you consistently do that, you will see positive change.
Wheelbarrow is a great example. If you've got a wheelbarrow and you look at the position and the muscles used for lifting a wheelbarrow, it's a deadlift.
Yeah.
And people go, I can't deadlift, I don't know how. And they've spent days in the garden wheeling stuff around. So there's a little squat, hands, up you come. You think of that position, and progressively, if you're doing a job, you get the job done. Well, actually, I'm not doing any job. I'm just going to leave the wheelbarrow a little bit loaded, and I'm going to go and lift it 5 or 10 times every day this week.
So then, moving away from gardening, most people will have seen near them, there's normally these outdoor gyms that are available.
They're very popular these days, been put in the parks. Popular. Yeah.
How could someone integrate that into?
Well, again, it's easier in the nice weather, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit sunnier. The walk there, you get there, it's more pleasant to spend time outside. And it's difficult. What are the person's own personal circumstances? Have they got family, children, grandchildren they can take, and they go and play, and you join in because it's a nicer place to be? You kind of, they've all got a little sign on that says what they do, and it comes back to, you don't know what you don't know. The only way to find out is to go and have a play, make it interesting, give it a go. And how long does it take? What do you get from it? And this is the other thing that with exercise, I don't enjoy it. Well, if it's a nice sunny day and you're out there playing with the rest of the family, it is a more enjoyable time.
I always do. My children love the outdoor gyms, and they'll try and use all the equipment. They're not big enough, not physically tall enough yet to actually reach everything. But myself and my 5-year-old will have a challenge on the monkey bars of who can do the most. And I'll join in, and then she'll start trying to do some pull-ups, and I'll join in with her. Then before you know, I'm building up a sweat, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting a bit of a workout here.
We can take an example from them. They're outside, they're having fun, they're enjoying themselves. They're not classing it as physical activity. They're just playing and having a good time. But we get all serious and technical about it. Go and test it out, and quite quickly you'll learn the ones you like, the ones you don't like, what they do, and the process will develop.
Well, it is, and it is that word play, because the definition of play is a spontaneous childlike activity, and children are great at it. They just can't just do something and just have a fun and enjoy it. And I think if you can, that's an easy way, and in a way that doesn't cost you anything. If you go out with the family, you see one thing, well, actually, you make a bit of fun, you play with the kids, and before you know it, you can turn and say, well, actually, when we started the summer holidays, I could do 2 pull-ups, but actually by the time I get to the end, I can now do 6 or 8.
Yeah, and you haven't worried about the structure or the program or following this. You've just gone and had a good time regularly.
Yeah.
And enjoyed yourself.
And the other thing is, I know the park near my house, it is around, I think it's about a 450 to 500 metre loop. So you could say, well, actually, I'm going to walk around it 3 times.
Yeah.
You could time yourself. And then you say, well, actually, my aim is now, so every time I do it, to do it a little bit quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker.
Yeah. First thing is to start doing it. Oh, how long did that take me? Oh, that was comfortable. Maybe I could do it a little bit faster. And if you're going with the kids, or if you're the fastest in the group, or you're the slowest in the group, give the fastest person the bag to carry. They can carry all the jumpers, or they can carry the drinks. They're carrying something. Just to slow them down, well, actually put an extra thing in there, make it a little bit heavier, make things a little bit more challenging for the fastest person or for you, so that they either slow down or you have to slow down with the group, so you can go together, but everyone is doing something.
And I think another one, if you just going back to the children, if you got young children, every time we've been away with the kids, I'll be the one who carries on the back. Well, actually, by the time and I'll say to everyone, just let there's space in the bag still, chuck all your luggage in there. So by the time I've got a child on my back and the stuff for the day, there's sometimes anything, I don't know, 22 to 25 kilos that I could then carry around on my back for 20 to 30,000 steps in a day. Well, that makes it significantly harder to do. And it's something that hasn't cost me anything to do. It's all part of my normal day. It's like almost like a double free exercise. It hasn't cost anything, and it hasn't cost me any time either. So it's sort of like a win-win scenario.
On the other end of the scale, if it's a nice sunny day and someone's sat on the beach, in the garden, wherever they are, I was just sat there reading a book. Well, you can read your book, but then you're sitting still and maybe sniffing up a little bit. You can have a stretch. It's warm, you're outside, you're there already. Have a stretch before, read your book, whatever you're doing. Get into the habit of thinking about, well, actually, since I've sat there for a little while, now I'm going to stretch. And we see people get up or feel a bit stiff, but when I get moving, I'm all right. We'll make that a conscious activity. It doesn't take long, and it's free, and it's nice when you're outside. It
is, and I'm fortunate enough, I live like 5 kilometres from the beach, and if we go down to the beach with the kids, is that quite often, instead of walking on sort of the nice smooth tarmac, we'll walk along the pebbles. And again, that's something, it just challenges me, it just makes it harder, because it takes me more effort to walk along the pebbles than it does and it comes back to this
mindset of we need to rest and make everything easier. Why would I want to carry a heavier bag? Why would I want to walk on somewhere that's difficult? It's going to make me more tired. And this is the accumulative effect of exercising. Because I want to be able to do more, I have to challenge myself to do more. And these ways don't take up any extra time.
No. And to get change, you need that progressive overload, don't you? You need to make it gradually harder and harder and harder to get a physical change out of it. That's if you want to change. If you want to get to the point where you say, sure, I do all day gardening and I don't wake up in the morning, I feel that my back's a little stiff, my legs are achy. Well, then you need to do something progressively that's harder and harder to build that strength and capacity. And
I think the biggest thing is doing it consistently, not I must load this more, I must do a bit more. Well, I just do it again. And if you might do more, the fitter and stronger you get more done in the garden.
Yeah, it is. And consistency is something that in our next episode, we chat about it also. But it's something that we really bang that consistency drum a lot in clinic, because out of everything, that is the most important thing. I'd rather someone do 2 things consistently than 6 things very sporadically.
Yes.
Because if you do 2 things consistently, I can guarantee you will see change. Yeah. And you take myself, I'm going through, nearly finished a sort of a Peloton training program, which is consistently sticking to a program, 3 rides a week. And I look at where I am now compared to when I done a similar program a year ago, and I'm already improving to where you were, because it's just that consistency. And actually, I'm 4 or 5 weeks into the program, and I started to see those changes.
You
already
get good at the things you do regularly, and the people that sit at their desk regularly get good at sitting still. They get good at, but the people who, I'm good at this, and when we do our assessments, this is quite good, you're good at this, you're good at this. These are the things you're not so good at, so they're the things we need to focus on. And in the summer, it's easier to be more mobile, and some people like getting up early in the morning. You've got longer daylight. How does it work for you? If it's too hot, it's too hot. If it's the right temperature, but it is more comfortable.
No, it is a lot easier to do stuff outside, especially going to things like country parks, and before you know it, your average step count can be increasing on a regular basis. You can be lifting more, and I'm not meaning weights, I mean more, you could be lifting more around the garden and then not being stiff the following morning.
When it comes to quality of life, I'd like to get these done. I'd like to be able to move the pots on my own, but I can't because they're a bit heavy. Well, if you've made life a little bit more difficult for yourself and have built your strength, you can move your own pots. And that's what it comes down to, doing more of the things that are important to you.
And everything we spoke about so far is the gardening. Well, if you're going to do that gardening project, you're going to done it anyway, so it hasn't cost you any extra money to do it. Yep. You're going to do it, so it hasn't cost you any extra time. If you're going out and having a family day out, walking around the parks and the countrysides, that may cost you a few quid in petrol, and depends where you park. You may need a mortgage to park your car at some of these country parks these days. Yeah. But in the scheme of things, it's not an expensive activity to do, and it doesn't take you any personal time. So there are so many things that you can do that doesn't take huge amounts of time, doesn't take hardly any money whatsoever to do. So there's a couple of the barriers, the big barriers to exercise removed completely. People turn around and say, I can't afford to do a gym membership or something along those lines, or I haven't got time to go to the gym. Well, actually, we're speaking about stuff that you can do in the summer that doesn't take you any extra time. It doesn't cost you any extra money.
No, and for the pea shingle, if you buy 2 bags, you've got 40 kilos, one in a bag for life in the right hand, one in a bag for life in the left hand, and you're lifting 40 kilos for £7.
And we know, we've done the experiment in clinic, we know a bag for life can comfortably hold 40 kilos.
Oh, yeah.
And then just imagine that, if you then got your pea shingle, 40 kilos, and you start doing some walking lunges or just walking up and down the path, that's a really hard exercise. That's not...
Yeah, and you start with one of the bags half empty. And at the end of the summer or the end of the month, you've just added a little bit regularly. And this is a bit about consistency and building. You've added it steadily. You've done more. Oh, look what I can do now. Because you've kept practicing and you haven't pushed yourself. You haven't done anything difficult. You haven't taken up the whole day. It's just warmer. It's easier. You can do it outside. It's just nicer.
Yeah. And everyone's generally more happy in the sun, aren't they?
You can go for a walk in the rain. Yeah. People make decisions. Oh, I don't want to get my coat wet. What do you buy it for? I need an umbrella if it's raining. These are all thoughts and beliefs and things, but it is nicer. You don't have to get your gloves out and your scarf and your hat in the summer. You go, oh, that's quite warm. Oh, yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, you just go and go. So your 3 top tips then for trying to improve sort of strength, capacity, fitness in the summer that doesn't cost you much money?
I think the first one fits all exercise all across. It's just being busy is good activity, but it's not the same as being progressive.
Yep.
I think the other one is experiment, try new things, because you don't have to know all the answers when you start. If you're going to go to the park and try out the machines or test out how much to put in your bag or how far to walk, you need to go and test it. So it's a journey that you're learning, and make use of the good weather. If it's warm, nice out there, I'm going to do this 3 times a week is a good enough start.
Yeah. So mine would be make use of sort of the family time, as it were. You can build it in to that and make it a fun activity that if you've got kids, everyone can join in together to do. For me, it is making use of the equipment that councils put in local places, because you can use that. And then my last one is with regards to the gardening side of things is, well, just make use of things like your pea shingle, your bits of slate, your wheelbarrows, because that is good exercise, and that's using stuff like that is a great way to get some good strength training in the mix. When you think about it, well, actually, if you are doing a big garden project and you've got the builder's bags, which are typically a ton, and you've got 3 of those delivered, you're then using a spade to get them out, decant them into the wheelbarrow. It was, and me being me, whenever in the winter when we have our logs delivered, I always get them to put it at the end of the drive, so it's actually further for me to take them away to me, because I'm just trying to get those extra.
That's a great example, isn't it? You know, of just putting general activity, more activity into parking at the far side of the car park to the supermarket, wheeling your trolley there, wheeling your trolley back. Those extra steps in a day, they add up.
Yeah.
Being more active, it's just, there are so many simple things that you can do. And I need to park as close as I can to the door. that may be a good thing, but for most people, no, you can park further away. It's not the biggest car park in the world, is it?
No, so but all those little things add up. Like when we done our little our DIY project in clinic, I had to look at my watch and I got home and I was thinking, we've done like 9,000 steps walking around a small clinic just by fitting a sink and some kitchen units, basically, and some cupboards. But you don't realise all that just adds up over time.
Yeah.
But I think we'll bring it to a close there because we comfortably get then into another topic of then using tech to help. But maybe we'll save that for a different day.
Simple things. Get out in the sunshine. Use the good weather. It's easier. It's more mobile in the summer. It just feels nice.
Yeah. So thank you, Dave, for coming, having a chat. Really do hope you enjoyed that episode. Please do subscribe to the podcast. Next month, we've got Dr. Abby Brooks on, who is a GP up north, and we're chatting about Peloton and how we both use it to help improve fitness and strength and everything along those lines. So we got this episode all about things you can do that doesn't cost as much money, and then you got then something at Peloton that is a little more expensive. So please do subscribe to the podcast. If you've got any questions, if you want to send us any tips of what you're doing to try and keep active in the summer, I'd love to hear it.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be good. But we will see you on the next episode. See you later. Bye.